There's more to ease. Financial District Home Office. Now that's it.
Baby, if you've ever wondered what became of Joe and me. We're living on the air at Carnival Personnel. Carnival Personal Podcast, CPP. Listen to Jacques and coherent yapping while Joe can quote a movie line by line. They may have no idea what they're talking about, but all in all they still sound pretty fine. It's Carnival Personnel, the CP Podcast.
Hey, Biff, how can you tell how much a red hot chili pepper weighs?
I don't know. How can you tell? What a red hot chili pepper weighs.
Well, you give it away, you give it away, you give it away now.
I like your jokes. Tell me another one, you pretty little thing.
Hey, Biff, what do you call the space between two enlarged breasts?
Well, I don't know. I never seen any of those before.
Silicon Valley.
I don't watch a lot of television. I don't get that joke.
Oh.
Do you have anything about boys?
Why don't you have a seat right there? Hello, everybody. Welcome to Carnival Personnel. This is Jacques.
And this is most certainly Biff.
Yes, Biff and John and All-Star Tommy and Scotty Black, they are all in. I don't know if Guitar Center's out there, but this is Memorial Day weekend. I should be in Phoenix with them, but instead I'm here
in hell.
You know what? I mean, this look. For a participation trophy, this is
you can't spell Lowell without hell.
No, I do. I so wish I was, out in Phoenix with them. Game one was 5-5 to the last 5 minutes, and then I heard the floodgates open for the other team, and to true John Taylor fertilizer fashion. Got a big L in game one, but you know what? Optimistic about the next two. But anyway, so Biff is not with us again, sadly. So it is just Joe and I, and we're going to plow right ahead by starting and say what a delightful episode last week's sideshow was with Joseph Katz.
He's going places. If he gets the fuck out of Lowell first, you gotta move to where the action is. It's kind of like you gotta move to where the food is. You see this? You see this? This is sand.
You know what it was 100 years ago?
It's sand. You know what's gonna be 100 years from now? It's still gonna be sand.
We're getting one truck. We're making one move. The great Sam Kinison. He wasn't wrong.
And that does not count as a Sam Kinison impersonation.
No,
it does not.
It doesn't.
Nope. Just
angry white guy yelling. It's either that or Lewis Black. But yeah. So last week's sideshow guest, Mr. Katz, he was fantastic. 24 years old, finalist in the Boston Comedy Festival, I believe his absurdist comedy could possibly take him well beyond the greater New England area. Next week's guest was also a finalist at the Boston Comedy Festival this year.
But wait, we already had a finalist from the Boston Comedy Festival on our podcast, Angelica Scanura.
Right. And she was a champion, not just a finalist, a champion. So's this guy.
You mean, are you talking about Casey Crawford?
And what a... trying to think of the big boy term, but he's so crazy smart. Like, he is so philosophical about the process of writing jokes. Talking with Katz about how great the Dick Van Dyke Show was and the absurdist comedy that he loves, but also talking to Casey, who's older and just, I think he has a master's degree. His wife has a PhD, and just that conversation was so just brilliant. You know what I mean? It was very funny, but it was also, this is how you deconstruct a fart joke.
Yeah. And he's right. And he broke kayfabe right away. He doesn't portray that persona that he does on stage in his interview, you know, so it's nice. You know, you're not talking. It's like if you were to do an interview with Emo Phillips, you would more than likely get the same Emo Phillips you'd get on stage.
And you'd be delighted to have.
I would love that. I wish, you know what? Can we get Emo Phillips?
There's a shot. You know, it's funny because we are 1 degree separation from everybody we want to talk to. And that's not an exaggeration. You know, it's like, yeah, can, and I'm not going to drop names, but we know some people, it's like, hey, could you make a phone call to this person? You know, I'm actually going out to LA. I kind of have a strategy for, I'm really good at networking and
except with the networks.
No, I network very well with them, getting them to buy the show. There's almost no room I have not been into in pitching in the last like 15 years. I mean, almost no room I haven't got in and pitched a show that's my own or somebody else's. And 6 of them were bought, but nothing, you know, went the next step. No, like 4 or 5 of them went to either pilot or quote unquote sizzle reel, where it's like, here's $100,000, go shoot something. But nothing got picked up. But no, I can get in the rooms. It's that last step of buying it.
You can get to the room, you just can't get to the bank. Like
right. No, I can drop off the DoorDash that I picked up for them. Hopefully I get a 5-star rating and maybe a tip. But no, you know, we are this emo is a possibility. Maybe a possibility, but probably not. Lewis Black. And I only bring up Lewis Black because Jim McHugh, I drove with Jim McHugh to Maine last week. And he is really good friends with Lewis Black. He opened for him for a while on national tours. But they've been friends for a very long time before Lewis Black broke. And we should have Jim McHugh back on to tell, if nothing else, a 10-minute podcast, 15-minute podcast telling these 3 stories he told me that completely restored my faith in humanity and people. And I'm not being over dramatic when I say tear inducing the kindness which Lewis Black went out of his way to, you know, in the early years of the Boston Comedy Festival
to help other comics.
Yeah. Long story short, like one of them, I won't do it justice.
Don't tell it.
You know what? I won't, but I will say, I honestly would love Jim to come on and tell those stories, because it did. It really, really made me say, okay, you hear people love the awful stories and the backstabbing stories and the gossip stories. You don't hear this person got nothing to gain from going out of their way to do something. And those are the stories that it's like, yeah, I wish we lived in a world where those let off the news.
So shines a good deed in a weary world.
So comedy stuff. Hey, you know, over the last couple weeks, I'm giving a big shout out because I like when good things happen to good people. And when we record with Casey, and that's next week's show, it was the day after I got to be on a lineup with Casey, only because our really good friends, Anthony and Wayne, 2 great comics, 2 great podcasters with Open Mic Pain, also have started running shows. They're thinking about starting to produce shows of their own at one point, like really, really soon, like booking the headline comics and filling the undercard and getting the venue, which they will probably do by the time this podcast drops in 3 days. But they're running shows for other people who can only be in one place at once, but need really competent people to run shows. So they put me on a show with Casey, which was great because we got to talk with Casey. We had a delightful talk with Casey's wife, who will also be a guest at one point this summer, that I think we talk about next week with him. But, you know, it is really great to see really good guys who are really hardworking, really good dads, on a meteoric rise. So, and hopefully they remember us little people,
right? Yeah, we're on a mediocre rise. Speaking of which,
so close.
Speaking of talking about ourselves, we almost buried the lead. We're dropping this episode on Memorial Day 2024. Do you know what happened 7 Memorial Days ago?
Was it the start of this podcast?
Yes.
Was it really?
Yes.
Holy shit.
Yes, this is our 7th anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary. Pour a cheerful toast and fill it, happy anniversary. But be careful you don't spill it, happy anniversary. Oh, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary.
So happy anniversary.
Did you know that the whole time you've been here setting up or you just remembered it?
I knew it coming in. Then when I got here, I saw a shiny object and got distracted for about 3 hours. And then just now I remembered. So yeah, that's why I didn't ask you to add that to the rundown. And I just plopped it in there. Happy anniversary, you son of a bitch, you.
Joe, seriously, I'm almost speechless. So, yeah, when Joe started this after the 2015 election, and I think mostly
No. After the 2016 election.
2016, did I say that?
You said 15.
Oh, right.
That's I love, and you know what? In perfect in perfect Carnival personnel fashion, I jumped at the chance to correct you.
Please do.
At the smallest minutia.
Which, going back, it is one of my favorite clips, and I think I posted it when Anthony and Wayne were on and you jumped on a tiny thing, and Anthony's like, is that what it's always like? It's like, oh, you guys are going shopping? Really? That's the lemon you're picking out? And then I pointed out, well, you're still getting back for me for being a dick in the early 90s. So.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So it's
because I'm not a dick anymore.
No.
Completely.
Nope.
I've grown so much.
You have.
You Portuguese piece of shit.
That's right. You drunk Mick. Or whatever the hell you are. What are you? Who knows? The results are yet to be discovered. Anywho, but no, it's our 7th anniversary. It's our 8th year of the podcast. So sorry.
Yeah.
Too bad. Where? I don't know what else to tell you guys that are still listening. But hey, thanks for texting Jacques all these years, and those are the only people who listen that I think. I don't know. Maybe there are. Honestly, I don't know who listens to this podcast, and I kind of don't want to know because I'm not a social person, but I'm also, I don't want to recognize people. Like if we were to turn comments on and have feedback on our social media, God forbid somebody that I recognize from the outside world were to comment on a video, I don't know how I would be able to handle it. I kind of like this pseudo anonymity. Well, it's anonymity. What am I talking about?
There have been times when, like, I'll talk to a buddy. Like my friend Brandon. I talk to him every couple months, and we play checkup. And he'll say, it's like, oh yeah, that podcast. And I'm like, wait, what? You listen,
right?
But he has a 4-hour commute like twice a week. He's one of those people where he works for one of the big production companies, and they're like, over the pandemic, it's like, oh no, you can work from home. Oh, we're always going to work from home. This is fine. This is working. You want to move out of state? Sure. Oh, you want to build a house 5 hours out of Los Angeles? Sure. 2 years later, the company gets bought and the new people are like, no, you have to be here 3 days a week. It's like, so he listens to this. So no, it is nice. But so yeah, again, thank you for starting this. But again, Joe, I think as therapy, because I was really out on the ledge, as a lot of people were after that election.
In 2017, that was a rough one for some of us. For others, it was just another day in the park. It was just another win in the column.
But wait, I can fly my Nazi flag with pride,
right?
Yeah,
I can fly a Nazi pride flag instead of the other pride flag instead of being forced down my fucking throat.
Right. I can fly my Nazi flag with pride.
Yeah.
And I can burn my neighbor's pride flag.
Yes, with Nazi.
And get away with it. Yeah, no. So that's why we started this. So, yeah, you already said it. Apologies.
Yeah, right. And by the way, did we get rid of the Nazis with our podcast?
We won.
No, for certain.
Yeah.
This, and you know what? We're in another election year right now. Who knows?
Or I'm looking at the notes. Yes, quite possibly the last election year.
We said that 2 elections ago. Every election.
We've said it for a long time. But when Reagan got reelected, things got a lot worse for most people. Bush got elected that second time, and things got worse for most people. But this time, the thing is, when those people got reelected, they weren't openly saying, this is the last election.
Yeah.
When you have, for the last 3 years, people have been saying, why is Clarence Thomas not recusing himself? His wife bust people up for January 6th. He was the only one who abstained or voted no when they're like, yeah, we should be able to release these. Anyways, But this week it comes out, Alito is flying January 6th flags at his house.
No. It was a neighbor dispute. Didn't you read the article?
Well, first it was, it was a lawn flag or something.
Well,
my wife must have put that out there.
My wife put it out there in response to some neighbors' lawn signs, which I don't know. I don't. What those signs were.
Shouldn't a Supreme Court justice be above that? And even if it's a joke and you're flying the American flag upside down.
Hey, if you can't be above the law, I don't know why you become a Supreme Court justice to begin with. It's one of the perks. It's in the Constitution, I think.
It's and if I'm a little more speech impediment than normal, a little more lispy than
I didn't notice.
A little more. What is that character's name?
I don't know.
Bertram? No.
Bertrand, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, the pervy old guy from Family Guy.
I knocked my own front tooth out opening our pool this week. Now, granted, yes, I generally look like a jack-o'-lantern because I need a couple implants, not my boobs. My moobs are just fine. I don't need implants with that. And I at least 10 or 11 of my teeth are fake. But my front teeth have always been fine, but opening the pool this week, I accidentally ripped one of my front teeth out. And my first, honestly, I looked down, I felt my mouth. I'm like, well, I'm not going to be able to do stand up for the next 2 or 3 months. But I'm going to.
Right.
Look, if my horrible jokes and worst delivery hasn't stopped me, this isn't going
Luckily, you got those headshots in just in time.
No, I'm not smiling, if you noticed.
Good.
I look the other way. But I do. I absolutely. Now when the host or I introduce myself as being from Lowell, no one's going to doubt it.
Yeah.
Look at the mouth. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, look at Mr. 31 teeth out there. Mr. Big Shot.
No, people will be confused. It's like, yes, he has the teeth that are meth chunky, but he's not really shaped. But I do. So this week I have a really fun show coming up. I think the official name of it is Goats and Giggles.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly what it sounds like. It's at a goat farm.
I
think the company is called Goats to Go, and they rent out the goats to come and chew your lawn. It's one thing, or poison ivy. That's another thing. They feast on poison ivy, which is good for them. Also, they rent out goats, or they do like goat yoga and all that stuff that you've heard about. Haven't you heard about that?
Goat yoga?
Yeah, you do yoga with baby fainting goats. I think this.
Oh, well, yeah, I've heard of fainting goats, but
yeah, and you look it up. They have all these like different events now, and this guy Joe Flynn, Lazy Eye Comedy or Lazy Eye Productions, puts this show together every year. It's called Goats to Go. Is the farm where it's at, and I'm pretty darn excited about it. So my wife. Generally, management is a supportive person. And if I say, hey, this is a good podcast, can you put this on your Facebook page? Or, hey, I got this show. Here's the flyer. Your friends might like this because I'm opening for somebody good, But as soon as I sent her the flyer for this, she sent it to her friends. And I'm not going to say in 5 minutes, but in about 15 minutes, 8 of her friends or 4 of her friends wrote back instantly saying, I just got my tickets. We will be there. So 8 people.
The goats of the draw, right?
She as delicately as could make that
You
clear.
know the marquee is going to say goats and Jacques Lambert, right?
As it should.
Right.
I'm not, look, this isn't a puppet show situation. But,
Yeah.
and the thing is, it's not cheap. I think the tickets are like $30, $40. And the thing is, like, maybe 2 or 3 hours after he sent me the flyer, he says, hey, I'm going to have a code. And it will probably be $2 off a ticket. But I didn't even get a chance to relay that message. And they already bought 8 tickets. So that's great.
They bought their tickets.
They know what they're getting into.
I say let them
Let the
laugh.
goat shit all over them.
I say let them laugh. Nah, no, it's not as funny.
It is. It's good. But then on the 9th, because, Mike Petrobis, we were just talking about, it turns out hosting is where the fun is in comedy for 2 reasons. You're supposed to be likable. You're not supposed to kill. You're not supposed to be the funniest person. So it does take pressure off. Also, you get to do more comedy. You might start at the fun of doing like 5 to 10, but then you get a chance to do a couple minutes between each comic or a minute, Also, it's a different muscle, and a lot of people, want to go from doing the 10 to 15 minutes or go from the 15 minutes to the 20, which is all great. And I want to do that, but not a lot of people really want to host. And the people who do want to host, like Anthony and Wayne, look at the doors it opens. Anybody can come up and do comedy, but if you want to run a show or do it, it's a little more work, but it's also it's more pressure on one side, but a lot less pressure on the other. So last week I drove to Maine with McHugh, and that was a lot of fun. And I hosted a show up there. That's
I think hosting is kind of the sweet spot that you're aiming for with this endeavor of ours.
Yes,
really.
Because, and Joe says ours because, and I will say it, last week I'm finishing, there's a bit I've been working on for a while, and it works. It's a short bit. It's about a minute. I don't even know, 45 seconds to a minute. And I like it. The payoff, it didn't have a strong punch. And I was talking to Mike Petrobis about it, and he had a suggestion that was better. But I had sent the thing to Joe, and I said, hey, fix this. I think that did the note just say fix it?
It didn't even say it. It was just like, here's the line. And I kind of knew that you weren't just sending me the line. It was like, oh, okay, this is shit, and he wants me to make it better. Okay, all right. Let me work my magic. And so by working my magic, I mean ignoring his first request for about 3 weeks. And then you resent the email again. It's like, look, there's this line. Petrobis took a pass at it. It's gooder. It's better. It's gooder. But I'd like it to just see what you can do with this. And I go, nah. And so I'm, taking my weekly shower, and I go, hey, wait a minute. I have a punchline for that joke? ? And then I have like 3 more. So I gave you like 4 lines, and, yeah, we'll see how it goes. But you know what? If you hear laughter coming from one of the goat shows that Jacques is hosting, and it's because Jacques is telling one of my jokes. No, it's true. It's the least I can do. The least I can do is nothing.
Nothing, right? Well, and I immediately wrote back how much you fucked up, because now there's about 12 other bits that are close that are just not, that's like, okay, this is good. For me, it's a solid B. C+. All right, it's a C. But if Joe rewrites one line, that's truly, and it's like, oh, just rewrite one line. The line that pays off, the line that ties everything together,
the punch line.
But because he does, sometimes he downplays some of the stuff. But if I do a set and it's 10 minutes long and you're going for 4 jokes per minute, that's 40 jokes. And if I land 32 to 35, it's a good show for me. But if there's like just, let's say 5 or 6 really good belly laughs, at least 4 of them to 5 of them were those punchlines, it's like Chernobyl with more caching places. It's such a great line.
Yeah, I think we can change it to liquor stores now. I don't think do they still have check cashing places, because nobody writes checks anymore.
The thing is, they do have them, and it's why the joke works in the most depressed places.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
There are a few less check cashing places because, once again, thank you to the great Elizabeth Warren for passing laws regarding how much they can take of a check. And again, those are for people who, for one reason or another, can't get bank accounts. They might have criminal records. They might have, different reasons why they can't get, or let's say their paperwork being in this country isn't 100% up to speed. So they're getting paid pennies on the dollar, and then the check cashing places are going to take what little is left over. But but somehow that's an invasion? Question mark. So what else is going on in your world? Some big things.
My younger son, I have 2 sons for now, and one of them is graduating high school this week. So the actual ceremony is in a couple of weeks, but he is done with school. I'm done packing his lunch. He's 18 years old. He's finished with high school, and now he's going to be going off to college. And by off, I mean taking a bus from our home to the college down the street, which is, in Cambridge. Anyway, not that college in Cambridge. No, not that one either. You keep guessing.
It's a very prestigious school.
Yeah, it's a nice college. We'll see. We've yet to work out the financials, but we think it's within his grasp. But he liked it. We toured the campus, and it's nice. And he's going to go study something. It'll whether it be graphic design or design graphics or money wasting. I think money wasting. Can you major in money wasting?
Yes, they're called liberal arts. Reason I have one.
Yeah, but you wanted a full ride scholarship, so you wasted somebody else's money.
Oh no! This is Division 3. They're just the only thing about Fitchburg is, you failed out of high school. Oh, you didn't take the SATs. Oh, well, yeah, you can come play here. That's how that works. It's like the perks were. As a first-year student, I didn't have to live on campus, which was, big. So I could have a drum set literally in my bedroom in the apartment. And that was it. I should not have been able to go to college, figuring that I didn't. I finished high school, sort of.
Just a shade under a decade. All right.
But that was the thing with them. Plus it was like when I started, I think it was like $1,500 for the year.
Wow.
Right. And now it's $12,000 for the same.
I think the next PlayStation is going to be $1,500. You know what I mean? Like, that's the economy. Thank you, Biden.
Right. Stop. So, a comic legend Dabney Coleman passed away this week.
Yes.
Comedy legend.
He was a comedic actor. Yeah. I mean, he was mostly known for his comedies. I mean, I'm sure, was he in, say, Roots? I don't remember. I don't know if he was like one of the slave owners. I don't know who was.
Well, he wasn't a slave. We can put it that much.
Yeah.
I know.
Dabney Coleman passed away, 92 years young. Actually, I honestly thought he was already no longer with us, but it's sad to still see a recognizable name that you grew up, seeing on television, instantly recognizable. And a name. Like, he wasn't like a character. He was a character kind of actor, but he did have like a lot of leading roles, especially in the 80s. Remember that movie Short Time?
Yeah.
Where he played a cop who, in order to get his retirement or pension or whatever it was, like the death benefits from
he was trying to get killed in the line of action.
Yes, he was trying to get killed in the line of duty so his family could reap benefits financially, because he thought he was diagnosed with a terminal disease, which I guess turned out to be a big misunderstanding in the end. Spoilers. But anyway, he did not die. But he did. Dabney Coleman eventually did die. And I know him best as the Hugh Hefner surrogate in the movie Dragnet from 1987. I forget what his character's name was. It's not important. What was important is that he will be missed. In 9 to 5, I think everybody knows him as like the evil boss. who some people thought was wrongly, being treated in a fantasy sequence by his underlings, but we won't retread that misunderstanding here. But you remember him from Buffalo Bill, right?
As soon as Joe and I were talking about this on the phone the other day, I couldn't stop laughing because everybody goes to 9 to 5, but there was I don't know if it mid-season replacement. I haven't looked this up, but a very short-lived sitcom where he was the sports guy on a local Buffalo, New York station.
Our first guest tonight just won an Emmy for his role in the TV film Sworn to Silence. On the silver screen, you've seen him in 9 to 5 on Golden Pond, and of course Tootsie. He has a brand new television series called Slap Maxwell, and I understand it's very, very funny, and he's a very, very funny man. Ladies and gentlemen, please say hello to Dabney Coleman. So I watch your old series Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
And gosh, is that funny?
Oh,
that's a real nice piece of work.
Thank you ever so much.
Yeah. Do you?
How about the new one?
I haven't seen that one yet.
There we go. See.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was on last night.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to watch it.
That's on ABC. Can't remember the name of it.
Slap Maxwell.
That's it.
But what I wanted to ask you, the part you play on Buffalo Bill, you're so good at it, and it seems to come so easily to you. Do you think if the show were still in production today that you'd still be enjoying playing that part?
Yes.
Not the kind of thing you would grow tired of?
No.
I think it was a mistake that they took it off the air in the first place.
I think that question was a mistake, maybe. But how are you...
like this was brilliant comedy over here. like you're going to win awards for that crap.
And that was his name. His name was Bill, so he was Buffalo Bill, and he was somehow, I don't remember the whole thing, but he was raising two like mid-teen or late-teen daughters by himself.
Okay.
That was like the premise of the show.
He was a widower.
And or divorcee or something like that.
Whoa.
And
he got the kids?
Well, or maybe she left, or
something. I
just remember and I just started quoting certain lines and scenes for him. But that's, for some reason, that was that's my Dabney Coleman. And it's funny because I was thinking, it's like, how many times did a producer or a casting director say, we can't get Stacy Keach. Somebody called Dabney Coleman, or the other way around. It's like, is Dabney Coleman available? No, he's doing this show. It's like, oh, we'll call Stacy Keach.
I mean, well, Dabney Coleman. I don't think Dabney Coleman could have played. What was his name? Oh God, Mike Hammer. I don't think he could have played Mike Hammer the way Stacy Keach pulled it off. That was just perfect Stacy Keach casting. And by the way, 90s kids, I got you. You may remember also from Drexel's Class on Fox. It was a sitcom where he was like an ornery high school teacher.
What? Ornery, you said?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I know, playing against type.
Right. Good for him to have
spreading
range.
his wings.
Remember the show Wings?
Yeah. Tonight on Wings. Who cares? Simpsons joke number 2,480. But rest in peace, Dabney. Your mustache and you will be forever emblazoned in our memories.
A couple other deaths this week. One of them is Morgan Spurlock.
Yep.
Is he dead? Or doing a deep dive research of fake celebrity death documentary that he's planning on putting together.
I think he only wanted to get cancer for 30 days and didn't realize. Oops.
Oh.
No, I mean, he was like 52. Is he a little younger than you? Of course, the Super Size Me guy. But, he had some controversial turns later in his career. He said some things and was accused of some things.
Oh.
Yeah, sexual harassment kind of deal, and yeah. So he kind of had a tarnished end of his career, so to speak. But, and I think a lot of the Fox News types, I don't think liked his take on Super Size Me.
Well, also he did that documentary where he and his wife moved to a small Midwest town and tried to survive on minimum wage jobs.
Oh, yeah.
Like he got a job at Walmart and she got a job somewhere else. Like it was one of those things. They were like Walmart like employees who living in this town working 40 hours a week. And the thing was they wanted to see, you know, how you can do it. And they couldn't. It was great. And then he also did, was the name of it sponsor this movie?
I forget.
It was all a product placement thing. And
Oh,
it was
okay.
all about.
Yeah, see, after Supersize Me, kind of like he wrote that for about a couple of years. I think he had like a series on Spike or something like that. I remember he did like a movie. I thought he did a documentary movie on the rats in New York City at one point. But you know, I mean, Supersize Me, yeah, is as questionable as the methods were. You know, he was kind of like a Michael Moore light, or you know, kind of like a son of Michael Moore type. Where it was all the rage to do, you know, gotcha documentaries on, you know, big corporate entities, and you know, it did shine a light on things, but I don't think it didn't really, in the grand scheme of things, move the needle all too much with actual change in how people saw their diets. You know, do you remember the host of like a cooking show? What was his name? Something, Jamie Oliver. Do you remember Jamie Oliver? He was a British TV chef who came to the U.S. and like tried to like basically wake up kids or the United States to how awful the food was in public schools, like how like minimal nutritional value this food had, and it didn't take. It was one of those things where like, you know, nice try, but this is too big a monster for you, Jamie Oliver, to try to disassemble. You know, it's like when Michael Moore tried to take on the gun industry or the healthcare industry. Or it's great to shine lights on this, and I'm not diminishing their efforts. I'm just saying it's a big fucking waste of time because these goddamn things are too entrenched in our fucking systems. We can't do a goddamn thing about it. Just work and die, you pigs. I'm sorry, where am I?
I stopped watching most TV, especially news and stuff, because nothing's changing and nothing's getting better. And I don't like to sound like that guy, but we both agree all the late night hosts are very smart or really good musically. And the smartest kid in the class is John Oliver. Seth Meyers, very smart. Stephen Colbert, very smart. John Oliver, 10 steps ahead of that. And his show is great. But I'm thinking
not smart enough to get out of Fox Force, Strike Force 5.
Oh, he tried. He tried.
He did try bad-mouthing the sponsor.
Every chance he got. But I can't watch when his show is great, but the one about the consulting company. Yeah, they had a bad Monday morning, putting out some PR fires, but by lunch they were back to making billions of dollars.
They were in the black by 8:05.
Right.
Hey, remember Drumpf?
No.
That was remember like during the 2016 campaign or the 2020 campaign? No, it was the 2016 campaign. John Oliver had used the show to show that legally Donald Trump's name isn't Trump. It's actually Drumpf.
Right.
And he tried to get that trending and make a big mockery out of it. It was a whatever. And
it was funny. Good episode.
It was funny. It did nothing.
Like the episode, which I thought was always will stand out for me, when he went over like the medical bill collection agency and how there are no rules and that these companies, will buy $10 million worth of debt for $1,000 and whatever they can shake down from these cancer people, and collections, there's almost no laws and there's no barrier to entry. You don't have to pass any course or whatever. You need a website and you need a phone number and you just buy the debt. And he ended up going and buying like the show, it was budgeted for, I don't know how much, the $100,000 episode. And they went out and they bought $100,000 worth of medical debt. That they bought $100,000 worth of medical debt, which equated to about $10 million worth of actual debt, or 20, and they forgave it, you know. And he was basically suggesting, you can do this. You can buy somebody's debt for pennies on the dollar and forgive it, you know. And I hope a lot of people did it. I talked about doing it, didn't. But I'm looking at the notes here. Nope, that is still, you know, ruining people's lives. Oh, you thought cancer was the bad part about getting cancer? Oh, wait till the bills come in.
Yeah.
You wish you would have died.
And to wrap things up on the Morgan Spurlock tip, another person probably was influenced a bit by Morgan Spurlock. Kinda? Maybe it was Adam Conover. I mean, Adam Conover from Adam Ruins Everything.
Yeah.
Nice guy, seemingly. Right? Don't get canceled, you. I like you right now. He, you know.
Do gay guys get canceled a lot?
I don't think he's gay. I think he's not.
Do guys who ask if other guys are getting canceled because they're gay get canceled a lot?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. That
So
did
we
us
wrap
in.
up our 7th anniversary show.
Yes, that did it. No, but Adam Conover is like another guy who, you know, did that same kind of expose for laughs kind of show.
Tipping. His holding on tipping.
Oh my God, yeah. But again, I still tip crazy percentages because that's what you fucking do in America. Otherwise, they're not going to get paid fairly. And it doesn't matter if you don't tip. Like if the whole country, it would take literally the whole country to stop tipping in order for the tipping culture to go away, and it would be done so at the detriment of service workers. You know what I mean? Like it's not the
service workers are doing very well, right? Second homes type thing.
No.
Oh
No.
Well,
You're way off, man.
Yeah, Adam Ruins Everything was a great show, and it's true. Like, hey, look, you've traveled internationally. I've traveled internationally. There are some places where people will be offended if you tip because they look at it like, oh, you think I need your charity? Like, you don't think this is a real job? How dare you? Honestly, it is one of those things. The other thing that is brilliant is how when the worst people in the world convince you that the problems they cause are your fault.
Yeah.
And the best case that Adam Ruins Everything is how the bottled beverage industry have convinced the world, oh, no. It's not that we're using too much of this, like this virgin plastic and this. No, you didn't do a good enough job recycling the product that we sold you.
Right.
And so it's not a problem that there's too many water bottles because we created these water bottles. It's your problem because you didn't properly recycle it. You bastards. Now buy more from us. And maybe you'll do better recycling these.
Mm-hmm. Like the man yelling 5 minutes ago said, just work and die, you pigs.
So who did work and die? I will tell you, Steve Lawrence of Steve and Edie.
Oh, no.
Died this week. Now, you're sad to hear this news. I'm guessing.
I was faking it.
Joseph Katz would be sad to hear this news. And maybe our friend John.
Right.
who know who Steve and Edie
I
were.
think Frank Central Padre.
Yes. And for those who don't know him.
Coming December 2nd, their music is back again. It's the latest from TJ Levinsky's My Music Gang.
Tonight I'll say a prayer for you, my love.
It's Steve Lawrence and Edie Gourmet with their music and memories told by their son David.
To say that my dad has one of the most romantic voices around would be an understatement, which is why this next song, Portrait of My Love, will resonate forever.
There could never be.
Huge, like, they were a Vegas couple who were big on the late night talk shows or the talk shows, not just the late night ones, all through like the 50s and the 60s. And it was funny. Their record company in like 62, 63 came to them and said, hey, this thing rock and roll, it looks like it's going to kind of stick around for a bit. So your next album is going to be a rock and roll album. And they had the resources of a major label, the biggest hit writers and the best musicians. And they're like, no, we're going to stick it out with it. And, and they probably made the right decision. They might have been a rock thing for a couple years, maybe, but, they had careers and they were performing all the way through. She died like 10 years ago.
Steve Lawrence and Edie Gourmet.
Yep. And so that was it. And I'm trying to think if there's anybody else this week. No,
I just remember Steve Lawrence. Steve and Edie were being parodied by Mike Myers and Jan Hooks on the Sinatra Group.
Yes.
On Saturday Night Live with Phil Hartman oh my God, so many references. First of all, Frank Sinatra was a singer, parodied by Phil Hartman, who was a performer on Saturday Night Live in the 80s. Parodying a show called the McLaughlin Group, which was a roundtable discussion group shown on PBS or I think
that
PBS
was an NBC's show.
I thought
no, McLaughlin was. That was
it was
PBS.
like a PBS station, right? Not to be confused with the McNeil Lehrer News Hour. That there's a lot of mix out there. Whoops, I got canceled. But anyways, he was one of the guests with Sinead O'Connor. No, Jan Hooks played Sinead O'Connor. Julia Sweeney played Edie Gourmet.
Cue ball. I'm looking at you.
I'm looking. Uncle Festa, what do you have to say?
Oh, that was great. Was that after she got banned from Sinead O'Connor got banned from SNL? Or before?
I
can't remember if she came on.
I think it was after
that skit. Well, probably wouldn't have gone over.
Yeah, I think that was after. Rest in peace, Sinead O'Connor. Rest in peace, Phil Hartman. Rest in peace, Frank Sinatra. We're all dying.
And so for those who don't know, Sinead O'Connor got banned for life from Saturday Night Live for ripping up a picture of the Pope before singing her song because she was trying to bring attention to the pedophilia epidemic inside the Catholic Church.
And just child abuse in general, but yes.
But yeah, it wasn't until 20 years later, the article came out in the Boston Globe about a Spotlight, and then that became a movie. But yeah, so she was just 20 years ahead of the curve, and everyone was like,
she was just a little too bald and Irish to make a wave in the U.S.
So we will not talk about it other than me asking this question: the trial ended, or the court part of it ended. Now it's in deliberation. Does Orange Hitler get found guilty of these charges? These charges being the paying a porn star to keep quiet while in election, which was election fraud.
This is going to take at least 4 Jacks that I'm eating right now. Jacks are the off-brand of cheese doodles. So hold on a second. Let me deliberate on that for a second.
Which I will tell you, management, those are her favorite snack. If you get her the real ones, she will dump them in the backyard, and she will insist that the birds won't even come and eat them, and then I will have to sleep out in the pool shed.
Okay. You were asking if Donald Trump is going to be found guilty of a crime. No.
Yeah. Because, it is... take away, it's hard to convict celebrity. It literally is, whether it was Michael Jackson, whether it was OJ. I mean, honestly, it is very, very hard to, and
unless you're Martha Stewart,
there's got to be one person on that jury who's like, well, he's an ex-president, this is just porn star. That's all it takes, and the great thing is all the people who are saying, well, the star witness is Michael Cohen, he can't be trustworthy, he went to jail. Yeah, he went to jail for this crime. Like the same crime, the guy who had him do the crime, who orchestrated it, who paid it, is on trial now. And this guy went to jail for this. And here's the best.
Some of these criminals were even released under the under Mayor Joe Quimby.
For Quimby,
paid for by the Mayor Quimby for Mayor Committee. So, damn it, I can't get that.
So it's going to be interesting. Yeah, I think of course he's guilty. I mean, there's no doubt whether there's guilt. It's whether one of the 12 people is going to say, well, he's an ex-president, I can't do it. I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's too depressing. So, have you played any video games this week?
Yes.
No, take your time.
Yeah, I've played some video games. Oh, have I played some video games? Oh, you want to know what they are?
Yeah.
Let's see. Well,
As you're wearing a gaming historian shirt.
oh, thank you for bringing this
The
up.
gaming historian.
The gaming historian. I actually kind of wore it in as a tribute to Norman Caruso, the YouTube host of he's like a documentarian, a historian, if you will, of video games. He has announced his hiatus from his channel. The last video that he put up about a month ago was on the video game, the Oregon Trail.
Right.
And it was very in-depth interviews with the original programmers, and it's really well done. And he's like, yeah, this is going to be my last video for I don't know how long, because it takes a lot of resources to do all of these videos. And I think just monetarily, he's not churning out like 5 videos a week. He takes time to put almost like, PBS style documentaries or, historical videos about these old games that are really well researched. But again, they puts them up for free on YouTube. His Patreon subscribers probably don't cover a lot of the costs, the production costs, and he has to make a living. And, it takes a lot of man hours. I mean, hey, you edit this podcast, the sunk cost fallacy of, I got to put more hours into this thing or it's not going to be worth the time that I already put into it before.
Dude, no, go ahead. Go finish with the story.
So the reason he announced his hiatus. I was a patron of his Patreon. I met him. I embarrassed myself in front of you and him at a gaming expo last year and 2 years ago. Nice guy, but that's it. He's doing other things for a while that's going to make him money. I think he's doing a podcast with his wife, so that might generate more views, or at least it'll take less time, to actually do. But yeah, at some point there is only so much you can do as a YouTuber until you realize that you can't do it no more. You gotta kind of give up the hobby.
My little guy's Matt Pat, like,
oh yeah,
he just stepped down. Yeah, and somebody's taken over the channel, and there was a big handoff thing. But same thing, he does these. This guy was a programmer at NASA, or an engineer at NASA. So the content that he was putting out is PhD level, fun science kind of. Or different things.
And he was generating a revenue.
Right. No, it was his living. Like, he left NASA because he was making so, like, my favorite thing from Matt Pat, not to hijack this, he studied like in depth the statistical probabilities of winning carnival games. And like little things, like he went in and he measured like the basketball rims.
Oh yeah,
they're 11 feet high, not 10 feet high. So anybody,
and the circumference of the rim is smaller than the actual.
A little, like
just barely wider than the actual ball.
So you can't. Well, you wouldn't really notice by looking at it, but just, how many baskets are off by an eighth or an inch? And then also in a lot of the places, the rims was slightly tilted up. So it's like, and then, but what he ended up doing he did 2 things to beat the system. A friend of his was like a AAA baseball pitcher who also played college basketball, like Division III, Division II. And they went to one of these things and the guy just cleaned up because he was a pro. And then, but he also did, and this was the best thing, he didn't break in, but he went around back and he took pictures of the prizes in the boxes, and he went online and he saw, dude, you can order like this stuffed panda.
It's not right. It's not worth how many tries you do to try to win that panda. Right. Financially, it's more about it's really about men bragging rights. Like, men are competitive generally, and they want to fucking win no matter what. They want to impress their girlfriend or whatever.
But these people do put in that level of hours. With me, with doing the podcast now, where I'm trying to post things on social, like each 30-second clip probably takes an hour to find, edit, loop it, put in a cap cut, and have a caption. But then I'm trying to post one a night. You can't post like I've seen there's apps out there, but I don't want to spend any more money that will load it up all at once. But if you tag somebody, so we've had these people who are finalists at the Boston Comedy Festival. So I want to tag the Boston Comedy Festival, each one, or Jim McHugh, but he's big Jim McHugh on YouTube because somebody has Jim McHugh. He's comedian Jim McHugh. So you can't just upload once.
Yeah.
And between like, why am I doing it? Because I just want to see, we've been doing this 7 years, as you pointed out.
Yeah.
But I want to see, it's like, okay, I put no effort into this for 6 years and 10 months.
No, we've put no effort.
Almost. I like to, come on. Somebody, the Welcome Back Cotter opening.
All right. Yeah. Okay. I did do some editing.
Delicious.
Yeah.
But I want to see, it's like, okay, if for the next year I make an effort to treat this like, put in an hour a day on it, put in 2 hours every couple days. Doesn't move the needle. Maybe because, as you said, after doing this show for 6 years and 10 months, for the first time ever, you said a few weeks back, you wish we had more listeners, only to justify the time the amazing guests who've been coming on deserve. And it's true, whether it's a well-known comic, whether it's an author, whether it's because we've had these, the lawyer for the National Hockey League Players Association. Dude, that's fucking huge.
I think we need to get more guests with more social media presence too, because like every time we finish an interview, so plug your socials. I'm not really on social media. I need to get better at doing that. It's like we need you to bring eyeballs to our thing as well as us bringing eyeballs to your thing.
Second time I'm bringing up open mic paying guys. We've commiserated how many times we've had a great guest on, and then like the episode drops. They didn't post it. Oh, maybe they'll post it tomorrow. Like a week later. And I'll even text somebody. It's like, hey, did you get all these links? Maybe you can put it on your Facebook page or your Instagram. No, you got more important things. Okay.
Message received.
It's like, so I'm kind of, and it's, it's also been fun because it's given me my now 14-year-old, his birthday was, 2 weeks ago, who forever has been telling me, I should do this and that. I'm also going to, I don't have my camera. I don't know how to use my phone camera properly. And I know people are out there shooting legit movies that are on like Netflix and Hulu's all on iPhone 15s now. Honestly, the movie that Bill Fay and I shot in 2015, Assimilate, that I don't know if it's still on Netflix. The camera we used there, the iPhone 15 is as good as that. And now you can get different lenses for it and like steady cams for your iPhone. That said, it's like I got to figure out how to get better clips of my stand-up just so I can post some more stuff. And I also decided the other day, and I kind of gave my boys the heads up, I might start shooting skits again that I'm going to post. And I only tell them that because about a year ago, my oldest, so he's 15 at the time, comes running downstairs, has a screen grab of me. It's like, so this is you. One of his friends like Googled me, and I had just done a sports podcast in Qatar that had posted it and put it out. And they're like, and he was laughing that his friend in London like had said, he looked me up and found this Qatari podcast. And
thank God they didn't find Mel Otto.
Dude.
I'm sorry.
I will cancel me right now.
You can edit that, please.
No.
The time stamp on that is who knows.
Joe and I did a sketch comedy show. Not everything aged well. None of it aged well.
I was going to say that not everything is a longer way to say nothing. Nothing aged well.
I don't think Lampshade was that bad.
Okay, you're right. Lampshade, it was at least I hide my face.
Yeah, I was out there loud and proud.
Yeah.
So anyways, but I told them because, my little guy, his best, buddy on his football team, are 0.5 kids. We have 2.5 kids because my little guy's best friend is here like 4 to 6 days a week, which is awesome. He's great. Love him. But yeah, he follows me on Instagram, and I'm like, okay, guys, I might start posting these clips. I'm trying to think of a couple things, and then I will shoot like 100 and then post one a day. Like when we would shoot stuff, just write it all, then shoot it all, post it, and then I'll piecemeal it out. But there's been a bunch of comedy people who've been telling me, it's like, yeah, you need to post more of this stuff. You need a website. You need this. So I decided, yeah, so yes, it is. It's taking up more time, but gentlemen, I have a lot of time.
Yeah, well, good luck.
Yeah. I'm not going to drag you into it. Gaming. So I was asking you about gaming.
Oh, right.
Have you actually played any games?
Yeah, playing a game called just kind of dabbling around. I went to Red Dead Redemption 2. I think maybe I might have already talked about it in a previous podcast. I'm playing a game called Princess Peach Showtime, which is a newer Nintendo Switch game that features Princess Peach as the star of the game, where you play as Princess Peach, and she's going to this theater to see a show, and with her like little friends or whatever. Long story short, a villainess takes over, or villain as they call them nowadays. A villain takes over the theater, and you have to go to like each little individual room where, as Princess Peach, you inhabit like a different costume. So she's basically playing dress up, but she's Detective Peach. She's Ninja Peach. She's a cowboy or cowgirl Peach, and then you have to rustle up some bad guys, and it's okay. It's actually more really. I know video games of that ilk are more geared towards kids, but this one is specifically, I think, geared really more towards kids because the challenges and all that. Great. I rented it from the library. I forgotten I requested it months ago when it came out, and then it showed up that it was ready for pickup, so I grabbed it, and it's okay. It's a perfectly cromulent game.
Wait. So I don't have to look up that word. Could you say it again and give me the definition?
Cromulent. It's a Simpsons reference. Okay. It's a made-up word that somebody used to justify the existence of another non-word, the word embiggen. I don't know why embiggen is a perfectly cromulent word. Cromulent is also a made-up word that means nothing but sounds like it should mean something anyway.
Well, for a second, I'm like, Romulan? Wait, are we talking Star Trek? Because I started paying. I put my phone down and started listening to you.
I know. Who cares? So I'm playing video games, wasting my life. I'm going to die soon. What are you doing?
Well, I'm not playing video games. My little guy was in my office the other day. He bored out of his mind, and I pointed to the little TV that you gave me, which has a VHS player in it, and the Atari 2800. I'm like, 2600. Sorry. Listen to me.
You apologize, not to me, to the Atari.
To the Vader version, yes. The 2600. And I'm like, well, that works. And he was like, really? And he put it in. It's like, oh, these are so bad. 3 hours later, he's playing it because he's not allowed to get online. So like I said, it's the ugly girl at closing time for him. He walks in and he sees a really pretty, attractive PS5 over there. No, out of his league. He sees the Oculus, headset. No, she won't even look at him. But,
well, he was even considering slumming with the Switch.
But
can't.
No. Turns out she was a lesbian, but he threw a few beers in this one, and 3 hours later was like still playing Combat. I think Combat was like the last thing he threw in there.
Oh my! Well, good. I mean, kids need to know about Missile Command and Frogger, and the Empire Strikes Back.
Lost luggage.
Nobody needs to know about lost luggage. Let that be our little secret.
So sport. So big week in sport for my fandom. The guy who doesn't watch much sports. The end of the Premier League with Manchester City winning yet another title. It was interesting. It kind of went down to the last game of the season. There's no playoff in the Premier League and all the European soccer. It's like whoever wins, La Liga.
Leaving all that money on the table.
No, because that's what the Champions League is for. Like that's what the big team.
I see.
Anyways,
Gotcha.
so going into the last game, if Man City lost and Arsenal won, or the Arsenal would have won, but it was one of those things. It's like, oh, so David is playing Goliath at home to win the title. So that was good. I also went to game 2 of the PWHL, the Pro Women's Hockey League. It's called the Walter Cup, their version of the Stanley Cup, between game 2 of the finals. Boston beat Toronto in round 1 and Minnesota beat Montreal. So I was at game 2 of their first inaugural playoff, finals. Boston sadly lost 3-0. It was at home, right down the street in Lowell, Songas Arena. Aaron Frankel is the Boston goalie, and truly, I don't know. I don't know how the league works. I don't know if they have like an MVP or if they have like the goalie of the year and an MVP being separate or 2 different trophies, which they probably do. But she's just amazing. Like even in this game, they lost 3-0. They were shorthanded like almost 8 minutes of the second period, and she just stood on her head. It was great. But it was great. It's part of history. After Biff and I had Maria Dennis on, who was, a pioneer, literally paved the road which these athletes are now driving on, 4 miles away, $40. I could not go. It was great. Had a great time. A lot of fun. Great hockey.
Yeah. And good for you. It was nice to see the pictures that you posted on the FNH text thread, which everybody else on the FNH text thread commended you on you attending the PWHL game and not making derogatory remarks. Not one person on that text thread made any, jokes, let's call them, about, a man attending a women's hockey league game because, we're all, enlightened. We're a little wiser as we get older with age, right? I think more mature.
I think the reality is, well, first of all, most of those guys, again, friends with Maria Dennis, who's better than most of us?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, positioning, passing, all of these things. And what I think would surprise people, it surprised my boys, how physical these games were. I mean, truly, the checking and the battles in the corner, they were absolutely amazed. And, unless you're playing like, starting Division I college hockey, I'm guessing most of these girls are, they would beat most high school boys team. I mean, they're passing,
athletes.
They're and being a small world, being a tiny world, Frankel, she is the goaltender coach because, they're professional athletes who have to have day jobs.
Yeah.
Because life is fair.
Well, it is 1964.
It's right. Exactly. So they're just lucky to be out of the kitchen if you think about it.
Yeah. I'm just talking about like even back in the 60s, men had to get it.
Oh, right. Through the 70s. Sports didn't become a year-round job,
or a lucrative job.
My aunt, by marriage, second husband, was a Dodger player who pitched the last year for the Brooklyn Dodgers and the first year for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Really great guy.
My uncle was a Dodger, but let's not talk about that.
But he played like 50s and 60s. As soon as Major League Baseball was over, he would go play in the Pacific Coast League or go down to the like they would play year round on 2 other leagues, like a winter ball here, not to stay in shape.
Yeah.
To eat,
yeah,
to be able to exist.
My uncle was not a Dodger, by the way. I know he's not listening, but just in case, I love you. Anyway,
but no. But she is the goaltender coach at my niece's prep school. So it's kind of cool, the 1 degree. But yeah, no. I went to that. That was, and again, I watched Man City. I also, and nobody cares about this except our friend Dave LaPointe, if he's even listening. But Luton Town, the tiny town that got promoted 4 times over 5 years from Division 4 up to the Premier League. It was pretty much, they were going to get regulated and they almost held on. They only got regulated by a few points. If they had won like 2 more games or had 2 more draws and not lost 2 games, they would have stayed in the Premier League. But instead of watching Manchester City, I watched the Luton Town because I'm like, yeah, these games aren't going to be on Peacock next year. And it's a great town. It's a great story. And then like the last 10 minutes, I went over. I was watching, Man City, the scoreboard. I'm like, okay, are they going to win by 3 or are they going to win by 4 was the only question over Nate the Great's West Ham.
I watched a sport recently.
Did you? On purpose?
Yeah.
You weren't in traction in the hospital?
No, but there was food involved and drink.
All right.
I went to a restaurant, bar, if you will, to meet up with our friend Jim, who's been on the podcast. Insert theme song now.
Jim's on the podcast. Ooh, Jim's sitting right here. Ooh, Carnival personnel won't be the same. Jim is joining the podcast. Joining the podcast. Who voted for Trump? Jim, he's joining the podcast. Though he should be ashamed, cause this podcast is lame. Jim is his name. Jim.
And we watched Boston fall to the Florida Panthers in Game 7 at home in round 1. Round 2. I was, I was thinking of last year. And I'm sorry, I was thinking of last year. Yeah,
That's when they broke every record in the history of hockey and then out in the first round.
Well, you're right, which in and of itself might be a record.
Yeah, record for most Jacques turned away from the Bruins forevermore. And that record is 1.
Yes. So, I got to, it was a nail biter. I mean, they lost basically in the last, 18 seconds of the game or 30 seconds.
So my takeaway is you were watching Game 7 with me the year before.
Yeah, and they lost.
You are no longer – the city of Boston. You can direct all your fury.
Yeah. You know what? I'm sorry, but I did watch Game 7 of the Stanley Cup with you at your parents' house, and they won.
Greatest day of my life.
Yeah.
Up there.
I would think that 28-3 might be the greatest. That's pretty fucking sweet. We had to go out and walk. We had to walk it off that halftime.
Again, be honest. What did your friend Jim say at halftime?
They got this. They got this.
It wasn't being funny. His friend Jim calls him. He's like, yeah, they got this. And we're like,
yeah, whatever. All right.
Thanks for
you voted for Trump. Sit in here, and go. Lo and behold.
Yeah. No, dude, it is tough. The 04 World Series for the Red Sox.
Yep.
That was the cup. That was the first cup. Really, in my lifetime. I mean, they won it.
You weren't cognizant for the first cup.
No, I
for the 70 Cup or the 72.
The 70 or 72. I'm not alive for the 70 Cup. I am not alive because that was in May. That was May 11th. That cup was won May. Oh, I was 70.
You were born in 69.
So right. Those two.
You were 1.
But yeah. So that was big. That was out. And again, the monster that they were up against for the Vancouver Canucks. They were down 2-0. So for them to win meant they won 4 of the 5 next games, 2 of which on the road in Vancouver.
Yeah. So to get to the point,
watched it.
I'm a mush when it comes to watching Game 7s of the Bruins in bars. Okay, so
my mom's house from now on.
Yes.
Okay, that's fair enough. What are you watching on the telly?
I am watching. I just finished the Fall Out. That's a great series on Amazon Prime, based on the video game. It is exquisite. Not exquisite. It's very good. I liked it a lot.
I've heard nothing but amazing things.
I like it. Walton Goggins is great. He's just and that Ella Purnell is an up and comer. You got Kyle MacLachlan in there. You got Chris Parnell shows up. It's fun. It's a fun show, and I'm glad they're making a season 2. It's just the motif of Fallout is great because of its 60s kind of pastiche of like what if the Cold War era 60s Americana just sort of stopped and froze, and like everything else, all, they don't have basically a civilization after that era, although it does take place in the future. Like I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's still futuristic, even though it's very 60s-esque or 50s-esque, really. But it's a fine show. I was watching that, and more recently, as of yesterday, I was watching the now new on Netflix documentary on the 80s TV show Reading Rainbow called Butterfly in the Sky. And I texted you about it. I think you were otherwise occupied, but it's it may not it's not as maybe tear jerky as the Mr. Rogers documentary was for me, but it was up there. LeVar Burton was interviewed. A lot of basically like all the original producers of Reading Rainbow, which was the PBS show from the 80s that basically sold books to sold books to kids. It was, and it's surprising to find out that, when they first chose their like first book for their pilot, they went to McGraw-Hill, the big publisher of kids books, and said, we want to let you know that we have chosen this book. It was like Gila Monsters at the Airport was the title of the book, and it's funny. And it's like, we've chosen this as your book, and they were kind of like, and the woman telling the story, the producer was like, and the woman at McGraw-Hill was like, yeah, I don't see how that's going to help us sell books though. And it's like, okay, we're like the only children's show that on television right now that is promoting books, like literal books, not just the general idea of reading.
Read.
Yeah, not just like reading is fundamental kind of thing. It's here's a book. And part of the sell of the books were not only getting A-list actors to narrate the books, and they would animate the storybooks. And LeVar Burton was like key. Like he is, it's also partially a LeVar Burton documentary, this thing. Him coming from, being a theater actor to testing and landing the Roots role, and then that catapulting him to stardom, because, Roots in and of itself probably does have a documentary out there somewhere that I need to watch. But it just the importance of him and his role, especially like, young black man, teaching or showing kids the importance and fun and joy and, need to read, But the other thing about the show is that at the end of each show, they would have like actual kids say like, I'm, so-and-so, and I'm 9 years old. And my book, my favorite book is Jumanji. And, like they would talk about Jumanji and they'd sell the book, and it was all unscripted, basically. Like these are just like, regular kids kind of doing, an off the cuff, promo for the book. And then they would bring the kids back for the documentary to do their testimonials. And it's fun. And it's also heartbreaking when you get to the 90s and the Newt Gingrich-led Congress trying to dismantle and defund, zero out the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which was funding shows, especially like Reading Rainbow. And LeVar Burton had to pull his own little, Mr. Rogers Goes to Washington. And they show that. They show that footage of him talking to a senator on a panel about the importance of the show and his role and what it means to, his two young children to have a show like that on television. And he uses some strong language there, but in a very refined, dignified way, as only LeVar Burton can, And then and also like the topics that this show covered. Like there was an actual episode where they showed a live birth of a baby that I forgot about. Like it was like, like a late 90s thing. I don't think I was watching the show then, but it's like, the person relaying the story before they show the footage is like, I think this is the very first or only non-vagina birth ever shot on film, because it's shown from profile They show the baby coming out, and it's like, and then and of course one of the producers says, that was shown all over the country except for one state, which they found it inappropriate. They didn't name the state to be classy. I'm guessing Mississippi or Alabama.
Dude, come on. It could have been Kentucky. It could have been Arkansas. West Virginia.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe West Virginia. But
or was it not shown there, or TV hadn't got to West Virginia yet?
Right. You know what? That's a fair point. But this thing went on. The show was on, I think, through 2006 or something like that, because they had like a 9/11 episode. And anyways, fucking watch this documentary if you like public television. If you don't, if you like LeVar Burton, if you don't, just check this thing out. It's on Netflix. It's from actually 2022. So it's actually been out for a couple of years, but it's only made its way to Netflix recently. So give it a watch. You'll be better for it, but you don't have to take my word for it. It was on the show.
See what he did with. I watched a documentary. I watched 1/3 of a documentary with management last night, which I don't think I can watch part 2 and 3 because you know how you do with anxiety and stress. The Ashley Madison documentary.
Oh my God. Okay.
Dude, it's so yeah.
Wait, what's worse? That or Quiet on Set? The Nickelodeon sex abuse scandal.
I'm going to say Ashley Madison only. See, it's tough because I want to say how many lives it destroyed, but those people destroyed their own lives. So those people aren't victims. Yes, they are.
Well, there were
the spouses.
The spouses were victims.
Were victims.
But they weren't preyed upon. Like it wasn't predatory.
I remember the first time I heard about this, Ashley Madison, and I said to management, I'm like, do you know about this? Because, yeah, it's been out for a while. I'm like, and I don't know if it was sports radio. I don't know where I heard the ad. And I literally thought it was a joke, because like sports radio will have like Saturday Night Live level fake commercials.
Dude, I subscribed to Howard Stern on satellite radio like before he even got on the air. As soon as he announced, I kind of got a subscription. I was a Howard Stern fan. Still am. One of their early sponsors, because they weren't getting McDonald's or anything like that. They were getting like the Shoudinis of the world. Ashley Madison.
Hello? No, I'm not busy.
Have you ever found yourself on a really bad blind date? Now imagine that date lasting the rest of your life.
Crap, I have to go. Happy anniversary, honey.
Isn't it time for AshleyMadison.com?
Was a big sponsor of theirs for many years, especially in the early, like 07 to 2010 kind of years. They had, when the show was dirtier and a little more misogynistic or more sex oriented, they had contests or whatever that was sponsored by Ashley Madison. They had the owner of Ashley Madison come on the show live one day to present a check for like $10,000 to the winner of a contest, And do you know how they came up with the name Ashley Madison?
Yeah, they were the two most popular names at the time.
Yeah, two most popular baby names.
Baby names at the time. Yeah, no, I won't. I don't even want to talk about it because it was so disturbing watching. But they had everybody. They had, the brass of the company and stuff like that. And so part 1 was mostly, the growth of it and what they did to grow it and how they couldn't be on regular TV. People wouldn't show the ads. And then how the owner of the company or the CEO, whatever his title was, went on everything, every show that would put him on type thing. And again, it was very, very, very disturbing. And as the episode was ending, and I'm like, wow, it's like, wait, didn't it kind of finish? And my wife's like, oh, that's just part 1. I'm like, what? There's more? And she's like, yeah, there's 2 more episodes. And I told her, I'm out. I can't.
I still remember
it's only going to get worse.
I still remember their tagline from their ads.
Yeah.
Life is short, have an affair.
Right. And they go through how they came up with that and all these things. Yeah, no, it was really, really disturbing. So right after we watched that, we watched the last 4 episodes of season 1 of Ghosts, which I highly recommend. I'm going to try. I watched the final episode of the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith. So I don't know. I think I'm going to take a little break before I jump into the 12th one. I'll catch up. I mean, it's great, but I really liked what I've seen so far. I'm on the fence about watching Hacks season 3, only because season 2 wrapped up. If it was a 2-season show, they ended season 2 perfectly, no loose ends. The good guys, things worked out, and I was very happy how it ended. Like season 3, it's like,
you think they're lingering there? You think they're kind of milking a bit?
I like the character development, all this stuff. So we'll see. We will see. I'm quite sure they're waiting to see if I watch.
Does it insist upon itself?
It really does. No. Parenting tip. Proud father of now 2 high school graduates. Good for you. You're 2 for 2.
Yeah.
No jail time.
Not yet. Like, things could happen, They might have to take the rap for something that daddy does. Just kidding there, folks. I don't my parenting tip, I would say plan your kids' graduation parties before they graduate. That's my parenting tip. I don't know why I bring that up myself. I'm not speaking from any personal experience of not planning ahead for your son's graduation.
Oh, my sons aren't graduating. But I did tell you, my brother has planned his son's graduation party and had a couple cards if you wanted to, rent the mechanical bull that he's renting for his. My brother's an idiot.
It's fun. People are having fun. It's not, at least it's not a real bull.
Yeah.
Right? It's not animal abuse.
No,
just people abuse.
Yeah, no, right. Yeah. And
that's good. Well, good. I mean, congratulations to, your nephew. And, listen, they didn't forget to grow up. These kids, they're,
my parenting tip is follow through on threats, or the little bastards. What's a threat if you don't follow through?
Right. Yes.
Empty.
Full threats, not empty.
No, not you have to. We're dealing with a situation now that it was like, it's like, it could never happen. Well, it has. And, now it's like, okay, you see you guys, it's like, you're drunk cartoon watching dad can sometimes step up and wheelie parents, which came to a shock to everybody, including myself.
So you surprised yourself.
Well, first we're going to have to start drinking again, but the cartoon watching, always make time for that. So that's my thing. It's like, the other parenting tip is like, if you have the physical strength to hold them upside down and shake the money out of them, because my oldest one has a real job this time, maybe true that, but he's bigger than me now. Oh. I've been
you should have got him smoking early so he could stunt that growth.
100%, but management, no, I'm pregnant, I'm not going to start smoking now. I'm like, okay, they're bigger than us someday.
Right. Our loss.
So that's it for me.
And that's it for us, folks. By the way, my name is Joe. I never properly introduced myself at the top of the podcast when I pretended to be Biff. Biff, we're thinking of you. Hope you and John Taylor's Fertilizer Corp. What's it called? Fertilizer Company?
John Taylor Fertilizer Hockey
Incorporated.
Franchise Limited.
LLC. Member FDIC. An equal housing lender. Hey, good luck to FNH. It's kind of moot now because by the time this drops, you will have already died in a horrible car crash. I mean, no, you didn't die. That was morbid. Where'd that come from, Joe? In the deep recesses of your mind? What's the matter with you? What's the matter, essay? Don't you know that I'm loco? Jacques texting away right now to somebody else, so I could just say anything. Oh, how many words can I say to end this podcast? Now I'm gonna wrap it up nicely. Tune in to our next podcast when we are pleased to present our in-depth comedy deep dive with the co-champion of the 2024 Boston Comedy Festival, Mr. Casey Crawford. ladies and gentlemen. One hand against another makes a great sound for Casey Crawford. Oh, wait, we have a machine for that. Okay, that's enough. I said enough. Cut. No. Yeah, he's a fun guy. He was nice to meet and talk with after a show that he did up in Manchester. And then, yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun, and you're gonna love it. And then after that, we'll be back for our first episode or second episode of our 8th year on this medium. What? Why? I don't know. Because Jacques needs that much attention. I tried to bow out. You heard me. There's this recording of me saying, I quit this place. Take your podcast and shove it up your ass. I don't need it no more. I don't need the attention. What's that? Oh, you're gonna not be friends with me if I don't do the podcast? All right. Oh, I'll come back. Fine. You guilt me into these things. And, just when you think you're out, they pull you back in. Yeah, that's right. That's my Al Pacino. Yeah. Did he ever say that? No, I don't think he ever did. He did. What did he say? Great ass. Wasn't that one of his lines? Wasn't that from Scent of a Woman or something like that? What about, nobody does old Al Pacino. Nobody does, the nasal kind of, the young Michael Corleone. Nobody does young Michael no more. Everybody does the jazz man. Bill Hader has the great progression, of this impersonation of Al Pacino through the years. Look it up. Don't listen to me anymore, except listen to my recommendations of other great things to watch and listen to. Don't listen to literal me. I mean, listen to this voice. What happened to my voice? I had a more youthful voice, and then I became like this weird, I don't have vocal fry. I just have raspy, do I have throat cancer or something? What's happening here? Maybe I'm not drinking enough water. Acid reflux, dumb. Do I have dumb? I think I have dumb. Maybe that's what, come on. I've been talking for 8 years. I should be doing better. Instead, I'm sounding worse. I sound like Roger Ebert before he, had to have his jaw removed on account of the cancer. See, ladies and gentlemen, this man is for the birds. Nobody knows what that means. And if you do, I love you, and we all love you here from Carnival personnel. We bid you a fond adieu. Happy Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day. No, wait. Do people say Happy Memorial Day? Maybe Mattress Firm does, maybe, with their Memorial Day sales. No, nobody even says Happy Memorial Day. That was an awful thing. It would have a very solemn Memorial Day. I honestly, I don't think, unlike some people, the people who fought and died in wars are losers. I don't. I think that they're actual, great people. I think they're great people. The winners are us, that enjoy the freedoms that are being eroded by certain other entities that shall remain Republican nameless. We will, not mention these Republican folks who are trying to take away our rights, Republicans. But, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Nothing. You're going to just sit there. You're going to sit there and vote. You're going to vote? That's what's going to change things, right? Oh, your little democracy, huh? Is that what's going to change things? Oh, look at you. You snowflake with your ballots, huh? Anyway. Where am I? And who's this Cheryl? Anyway, don't forget,